And I'm sure there's an option. So I muted everybody to remove the background noise. But if you have anything to comment, just feel free to unmute yourself and interrupt me anytime. Let's go ahead and start. I think I met most of you, but just in case you don't know me, my name is Tai Kim. I joined the company about a year and a half ago, initially to help Kyungwoo Systech with its automotive business unit. But starting from this January, I took over the KIGIS business unit strategic planning group, where I'm responsible for the global sales, marketing, and strategic planning of the KIGIS solution. So again, nice to meet you all. I understand there's been a lot of comments, concerns, questions, a lot of interaction between the KIGIS team and our business partners, which is great. But as we are approaching toward the final quarter of the year, I thought it would be a great idea if we can kind of summarize the discussion so far. I have some updates to share in terms of the naming change. I'll just go ahead into the agenda page. So I have a few things to share. Some of you may have noticed that we start calling IPAS 2 to IPAS SE. I will explain why we're making that change. There's been a number of questions about the use of 6.5 gigahertz frequency in the new IPAS SE. I think we already posted that back in July, explaining the differences between IPAS 1.0 and IPAS SE. But I think we have not explained in details why we had to make that change. So I'll try to explain that. And then there's some difference because of the difference between the IPAS 1 using 3.9 gigahertz frequency for the communication between the vehicle tag and pedestrian tag, and IPAS SE has to move up to 6.5 gigahertz. There's some difference in terms of the performance and the behavior of the product. So we have been busy working on improving the performance of the new IPAS SE. So I'll explain what we have been working on. And then we have a roadmap. I think we've been sharing some updates, like, certain product is becoming available in August, in September, or toward the end of the year. But I want to show you the overall roadmap of where we stand in terms of releasing new product for IPAS SE. And then finally, as I said, we're approaching to the fourth quarter of the year, and we're already working on some new ideas for new product in 2026. So I'll briefly explain those new product ideas, and I'll be happy to get your feedback either in this meeting or you can share that thoughts offline. And in terms of Q&A, as I said, the reason I shared this in advance is to give you a chance to read through this, so that you can already see what I'm going to explain. And if you have any comment, just feel free to stop me. Again, I muted you all just to remove the background noise, but feel free to unmute and then make a comment during my presentation anytime. Okay? All right. So why are we changing the name of IPAS 2.0? I think we got some feedback that in some countries, people just say, hey, if you have IPAS 2, then I don't want to buy IPAS 1, which is not the intention. The intention of developing the second generation of IPAS is for the new IPAS to coexist with IPAS 1. So IPAS 1 will continue to sell, will continue to improve their product, will continue to produce their product. And then we're adding new features in IPAS 2, which is the second generation. But then people, because of the naming convention, people start seeing that, hey, this is better, newer replacement of the previous generation product, again, which is not the intention. So we will change the name from IPAS 2 to IPAS SE. We have been talking about the new naming and what issues stand for, etc. This is the initial intention was SE stands for Shaping Edition, but I mean it can be interpreted in many different ways. So don't get hung up on why it's called SE, but it's just a new generation of IPAS, the previous generation of IPAS, where we added a new E mode to shape the detection angle. We added a mobile app for remote configuration and firmware update. We have a touchscreen indicator plus, which is a little bit more expensive than the previous generation, but we're hearing a lot of good feedback from the customers that it's more intuitive. It's easier to see and configure the device. And then we reduced the size of the pedestrian tag. I think our PT, if you compare that with the competitive product, is probably the smallest. I mean, in terms of bypass SE, and we were able to still maintain the same or even longer battery life. So that's what we're adding. We'll continue to add new features in the iPass SE. But again, this is a different product. This is not a replacement of iPass 1.0, which is the previous generation. So this is why we're changing the name. And we already made this change in our website. We already shared the brochures and other documentation on the KIGIS Partner Hub. So you can see the new documentation will all have iPass SE. If you see anything that shows iPass 2.0, let us know. We'll be happy to change that, whether it's website or documentation. All right. As you know, iPass 1.0 has been very successful product. It is based on the Corvo, or if you're familiar with the previous name of the company, Decawave, is one of the pioneers of this UWB technology, and they're one of the first companies who make a very mature UWB chipset, which is DW1000, that has been used for iPass 1. It is proven in the market, selling really well. It's based on the original UWB frequency band, which is 3.9 gigahertz, which is approved in most countries. It has a larger vehicle tag and pedestrian tag. It has got a simpler no touch screen indicator, and it has a very simple circular detection range. On the other hand, iPass 2.0, we chose to use the newer DW3000 chipset from the same company, Corvo. There are other manufacturers. NXP is making one. There are other Chinese and some European silicon manufacturers talking about making UWB chipset, but we believe Corvo is the number one supplier, and they're still most reliable, most mature chipset manufacturer. So we'll stay with the Corvo unless we see any significant issue with this supplier. The DW3000 chipset does not support 3.9 gigahertz. Corvo has made the decision that they will only support a higher frequency UWB band, which is 6.5 gigahertz and 8 gigahertz. That's the only two frequency band that this new chipset support. I will explain why they made that decision in the next slide, but that makes it in terms of frequency. So iPass SE out of the box, out of the factory, is not compatible with iPass 1. But we can make it compatible by upgrading iPass 1 to operate at 6.5 gigahertz, and that way you can mix and match between iPass 1 and iPass SE. Japan is probably the only country right now that does not allow 6.5 gigahertz UWB communication. So for Japanese market, we have been developing and certifying a 8 gigahertz version of iPass SE. So I mean, I don't see anybody joining us from Japan in this meeting, but just for your information. We improved the design of the vehicle tag. We added a E-mode tag or EMT so that we can shape precisely how we want to detect the PT. And then obviously we have a smaller PT and a new touchscreen indicator. So again, we encourage you to continue to sell iPass 1.0. This is proven in the market, very reliable, a great product. If the customer doesn't necessarily need any specific feature in iPass SE, so it's up to you. I mean, that doesn't mean you don't have to sell iPass SE for simple use case. If you think customers like the new design, new indicators, smaller PTs, and if the iPass SE is working fine on the customer site, feel free to sell iPass SE on all the customers. But again, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't sell iPass 1. In fact, we encourage you to continue to sell iPass 1 in most of the environment where 3.9 gigahertz is legally approved frequency in your country. Okay, so this is a bit technical background of why we, KIGIS team, has to switch to a different UWB frequency of 6.5 gigahertz. Obviously, Qorvo has been our partner for the silicon, the main chipset of our product, and they say they will continue to produce DW1000 chipset up until 2028. That does not mean they will terminate the product, end of life, or anything. They guarantee the production of the chipset until 2028. They may or may not continue to supply the chip after 2028, but they guarantee the production of the chip in 2028. But then they come up with this DW3000 chipset, which is newer, better. It has more efficient power management. It supports higher frequency band. It supports more latest and updated UWB protocols, etc., etc. So it was obvious choice for us, the KIGIS team, to use new chipset for the second generation of iPass, which is iPass SE. And it's not just Qorvo. As I said, NXP and all the other major UWB chipset manufacturers also moved up to 6.5 and 9 gigahertz bandwidth. I'm sorry, 8 gigahertz bandwidth. Why? If you look at the regulatory landscape, so 3.9 gigahertz in general. Just take a step back. In general, just like your Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, UWB is unlicensed frequency band, meaning anyone can use that frequency without getting frequency license from any government. But they have to get the approval and certify that for Europe, for Korea, Japan, and China, etc. Now they start seeing different use for 3.9 gigahertz in different countries, whether it's satellite communication or different type of detection technology, ranging technologies. So we and Qorvo and the industry in general start seeing, hey, the lower frequency range of the UWB bandwidth is getting busier, and there's more risk of interference. So when we say Japan, we're using 8 gigahertz. In Canada, it's 6.5 gigahertz. In Korea, again 6.5 gigahertz. It's not that they stopped the entire use of 3.9 gigahertz. I mean, we already had product running at that frequency. What's happening in those countries is they stopped approving new product in the lower UW bandwidth. So you cannot use 3.9 gigahertz for any new product. And then they're waiting for this lower bandwidth, using the devices using this lower UW bandwidth to gradually fade away. So that's one of the reasons. In terms of Qorvo and other silicon manufacturers, they might have chose to support both 3.9 as well as the higher bandwidth, but it makes their chip design very difficult and less efficient because their radio frequency hardware as well as the firmware and the software and chip design supporting both low end and higher end frequency makes it more expensive. So they decided, hey, the global regulatory landscape is moving up to the higher frequency. So we'll just go ahead and support channel 5 and channel 9, which is 6.5 and 8 gigahertz bandwidth. Based on that industrial agreement, all the major consortium and players like FIRA, if you're not familiar, FIRA is a UWB standardization consortium and working group. And they said for their standard, if you want to make your device FIRA UWB compliant, it has to be using channel 5 and 9 only. They will not support the old 3.9 gigahertz UWB bandwidth. Based on that, all the major industry players, if you look at Google, Apple, Samsung, their latest smartphones all have this built-in UWB in their smartphone. They also use 6 gigahertz, 6.5 and 8 gigahertz only. So these are some of those lists of the phones that you can find out there in the market. CCC, or Car Connectivity Consortium, another industry consortium, that's more focused on the use of UWB technology for automotive applications. So for example, if you have a digital key, meaning using your smartphone to unlock the door of your car, you have to follow, I mean, you don't, but I mean, most of the car manufacturers follow the CCC digital key standard, which is based on UWB. And they have 100% aligned with FIRA in terms of the use of the UWB bandwidth. So again, channel 5 and channel 9 only. They don't support 3.9 gigahertz. Same thing. So this industrial consortium, they wanted to make sure that instead of, hey, this country using 3.9, this country is using 6 gigahertz, this country using 8 gigahertz, they don't deal with that complexity. So they wanted to have, okay, we only support 2 channels so that we can have a global harmonization, as well as using or supporting the major chipset manufacturers, just supporting this particular bandwidth, which is NXP and Qorvo. That makes their certification and their standard compliance easier to manage. As I said, 3.9 gigahertz is having bigger risk of interfering with other communication technologies. In fact, one of the reasons that countries like Japan or Canada moving up even to a higher frequency is even the 6.5 gigahertz. And I just got this from Brazil. Abrao has reported, and we are currently testing that. But if you look at the latest Wi-Fi 6E or Wi-Fi 7, I don't think there's any Wi-Fi 7 device out there yet. But Wi-Fi 7 is the latest, greatest Wi-Fi communication technology. They happen to use 6 gigahertz, 6 to 7 gigahertz bandwidth. So even that range, we have to be careful not to interfere with other communication technology. So in summary, we had to make the choice about 3 years ago when we chose which chipset to use for IPAS SE development, and it was DW3000 from Qorvo, which only support 6.5 and 9 gigahertz, 8 gigahertz frequency bandwidth. So I hope this gives you some technical background or context. All right, so a few things about the IPAS SE improvements. First and foremost, there has been an issue with the original connector harness of the IPAS SE. It was not the problem with the design itself, I would say. So the supplier who gave us the connector harness gave us a not a very good material to protect the connection between the cable and the connector on the device. So we had some issues initially. That was fixed very quickly, and most of you, what you have in your IPAS SE, the indicator, you see that those 3 harnesses, they use improved, stronger connector design, connector harnesses. So that should not be a problem. That has been our intention. That's why, if you remember, and some of you ask, hey, why did you change the connector design from IPAS 1, which is like a pigtail, right? You have this long wire coming directly out of the device. So there's no connector there. But at the end of the wire, you have the connector. So it's more flexible. It's more solid, stronger, and it can handle the impact a little bit better. Um, we made an intentional design choice to use the three connector design because there's been some complaint in the field that if you have that pigtail design and then if you install this on the forklift, you need to hire that in the frame of the forklift, and then you kind of seal that up. And then later on, if you have to replace something, you have to unseal that. You have to unscrew everything and then take it out, and which makes the maintenance work of the previous generation of iPads more cumbersome. So we came up with this design that, let's have a connector right next to the device so that it can replace the cable fairly easily. You can replace the unit without unharnessing or unburying or unscrewing this from the frame of the forklift. So that was the intention. And then during the initial field test, we were told that some forklift operators don't care about that three connectors. They just carelessly hit it with their tools or themselves. And even though we improved the design, the connector material, it still breaks because it's exposed right next to the indicator. And depending on where you install that indicator, and depending on how big the machine is and how the operators come in and out of the forklift, I see the point that there might be an increased risk of getting that connector exposed to the impact. So we are coming up with a new product code and new indicator with a pigtail design. It's showing on the roadmap if you have already seen it. We finished the development, but because of this new pigtail design requires change in the in-house internal PCB with the new connector, we had to go through the new certification. It is, I think, almost ready for production. So if you are interested in ordering this new pigtail version of the Indicator Plus, please let Key and Mia know. We need to know how many units we need to start producing very soon, so that we can have all those components ready. So please let us know, how many units you plan to order um, uh, in the month of September and October. And once we have this steady line of production in place, then business as usual. You just share the forecast, and we'll have the proper deal time. But in the early phase of the production, we'll need your help to manage the production volume. Second thing about the performance issue, I have shared in this post here in Partner Hub, explaining that there's a physical characteristic difference between 3.9 gigahertz frequency and 6.5 gigahertz frequency. In general, I think the easiest analogy is if you familiar with the Wi-Fi router setting, you can choose to run your Wi-Fi for your residence at 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz. And if you have noticed, if you run your Wi-Fi at home at 5 gigahertz, it actually gives you faster performance and lower latency. It's higher frequency. It can convey more information, but then the 2.4 gigahertz can actually penetrate through the walls in your home. So if you have your router in the downstairs, and if you have rooms on the upstairs through multiple walls, stationary walls, then 2.4 gigahertz will give you better access, more reliable Wi-Fi connection. Same thing. So 3.9 gigahertz UWB bandwidth has better penetration characteristics, meaning if you have an obstacle between the PT and the VT, the 3.9 lower frequency will be able to either go through that obstacle, or if it's metallic, like very hard surfacial, it will go around the object more easily because of the frequency characteristics. So you may have noticed between IPAS 1 and IPAS SE, sometimes it may not perform exactly the same as the previous generation of iPads, and that has to do with this characteristics difference between the frequencies. And point number 3 here, I think Key and Mia and the whole KIGIS team mentioned this a few times. When you test IPAS SE at customer site, please make sure you have a very good line of sight, meaning the vehicle tag should be installed in a place where it can have the most visible or very good line of sight between the VTs and most importantly between the VT and pedestrian tag. You don't want to install this in the behind the vehicle and then pedestrian you're approaching in front of the vehicle. You may say, hey, it was working fine in IPAS 1, but it doesn't work in IPAS SE. Again, now you understand why, and that's to do with this. Now, we understood this when we developed this, and it has passed all the in-house testing of the detection latency, whether it's single mode or E mode. We thought it was good enough, but then we started getting report from the field that the performance of IPAS SE is less than ideal, and I'm sure you're comparing that with IPAS 1.0, which is different device, which is fair. I understand. I mean, you said to your standard, hey, things have been working fine on IPAS 1, and how come it doesn't work in IPAS SE? So we've been improving the detection performance of IPAS SE. We have been releasing a few firmwares to improve the detection latency as well as detection range of IPAS SE, which should be available today. We will continue to upgrade the hardware. Again, I'll be explaining that in the roadmap. You will see in the roadmap that we're working on IPAS SE long range version. That new product will have a different mechanical housing with a different antenna design to improve and overcome this characteristic difference between different frequencies. So we will be continuing to work on it toward the end of the year, maybe early next year. So we'll continue to communicate with you when this will be available. In Europe specifically, there's a new regulation just passed, I think, early this year that they will allow a 10 dB transmit power increase of the UWB communication for specifically 6.5 gigahertz. So European Union is not doing anything about 3.9 gigahertz. I mean, it's getting very busy. They want to move away from 3.9, even in Europe, even though it's allowed today. But they understand because of this different frequency characteristics, they should allow a little bit stronger transmit power for 6.5 gigahertz. It is officially approved and European Union. I'm not 100% sure about the UK, but at least the EU regulation allows a new device certification with a 10 dBm transmit power increase. Just put that into context. So we've been transmitting at about minus 41 dBm for IPAS SE. If you increase that to minus 31 dBm, it's like huge increase. I mean, it's not a few times. It's like multiple order of magnitude stronger transmit power. So we are hoping that we will increase the transmit power of IPAS SE and improve the performance of detection range for the version in Europe. The problem is the current DW3000 chipset only support a few dBm increase of transmit power. So if you want to take full advantage of this 10 dBm increase and get this new device certified, we have to use yet another chipset from Kobo. So they came up with this new QM series chipset that allows this full 10 dBm power increase based on this new regulation from Europe. So I think are evaluating that chipset right now, and we're hoping to come up with the new PCB, new antenna, this new firmware, and we'll be able to improve the performance of IPAS SE even further. The final point here, I am getting some input that, hey, can you go back to 3.9 gigahertz? with IPAS SE, we had internal discussion. We talked about that at length internally about technical feasibility. Our initial conclusion was it's huge investment. I'm sure you can imagine that we have to redesign the hardware, we have to redesign the software, and the worst part is Qorvo only will produce this 3.9 gigahertz chipset until 2028, so 3 years at most, maybe 2.5 years. I mean, obviously we can buy more in advance if you want to continue to manufacture this, but the guaranteed production of this old generation chipset is only until 2028. So it's not our current priority. We really don't want to redesign the entire IPAS SE product with the older chipset running at 3.9 gigahertz. So our message to you, our official position is give us some time. The next 3 to 6 months, you will start seeing an improved IPAS SE with new antenna design, increased transmit power, and improved firmware to improve the detection performance of IPAS SE as good as the IPAS 1. If we believe this is still not good enough, if we continue to get feedback from you guys that, hey, I mean, it has improved a little bit, but it's still not good enough, we will revisit this. We'll have a more serious look at the 3.9 gigahertz option for IPAS SE, but that's not this year. This year we're gonna focus on improving the current IPAS SE design. All right. So in terms of the roadmap and development schedule, starting from top left here, as I said, back in June, we have released a new firmware for IPAS SE with improved E-mode detection performance. We are continuing to improving the performance of the product, and we're planning to release another major firmware update sometime in November. We are working on the KIGIS toolkit for IPAS SE, so should be available in mid-October timeframe, together with the mobile app. I mean, we do have mobile app already in the App Store, and you can use it today. But with this new toolkit and with this new firmware update, our mobile app will be a fully functioning, very, very useful addition to IPAS SE. So stay tuned. We're planning to make this update in mid-October. As I said, Indicator Plus pigtail version, we finished the development. We're going through certification and final validation. We are sourcing or ordering the components for the production. So here, my ask is, if you want to order the pigtail version of the Indicator Plus, please let Key and EMEA know how many units you plan to order short term, September, October. That will help us plan the production schedule accordingly. Moving to the right side of the indicator, there has been some feedback from a few of you that the current price of the Indicator Plus, I believe is what, $300, is a little too expensive to some customers. And we were asked if we want to develop the like simpler, more like lightweight, basic indicator, like the previous IPAS 1. Yes, that has always been the plan. It's just not, it wasn't the top priority. But we hear you that maybe some customers are very cost cautious, and they may not want to pay $300 for this fancy touchscreen indicator. So we'll be developing the standard, like, lightweight, low cost indicator toward the end of the year, early next year. So stay tuned. Just like any other item on this roadmap, if you believe this standard low cost indicator is very, very important, just keep sending those feedback to us. I mean, even though this is our plan, As I said, this roadmap is a plan, and plan is supposed to change, and that's based on your input, customer's voice, your feedback that hey, we need this sooner than the other. Then let us know. We'll try to adjust the schedule based on the feedback. But uh, in the current plan is to start developing the low cost indicator toward the end of the year. 8 gigahertz version of Japan is finishing up the development. We are getting ready for the certification for the Japanese market. And iPass 1 6.5 gigahertz compatibility. This is confusing because I thought we already have this firmware. Key, are you there? Can can you can you explain this part a little bit? Hmm. Okay. So I'll have to clarify because I thought we already have 6.5 gigahertz firmware for iPass 1 for the backward compatibility. But I see here in the roadmap item. Okay. The silent zone tag. If you remember in iPass 1, we have a separate silent zone tag device. In iPass SE portfolio, we're not going to have a separate device. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the standard zone tag, but we're going to replace the firmware to make it work as a silent zone tag. So this is just firmware development. We are finishing up the development. It's almost done, and there's no hardware change. So again, same thing. If you want to order this, please let Mia and Key know so that we can plan accordingly. But again, in terms of hardware, it's just standard zone tag, but we have to install the different firmware. Driver zone tag and the EOD, the new EOD, not the previous one, but the one for iPass SE, and the PT charger. You can charge 10 PTs at one time. They are all ready. They're finished. We finished development. We are ready for production. So same thing here. If you want to order driver zone tag or iPass SE EOD or PT charger, let us know how many volume or units you plan to order in the month of September, October, because we just finished the development and we're getting ready for the initial production. We normally don't make too many units in the first production just to optimize the process. So if it's just a few units, I don't see there's a problem. But if you're planning to order a lot of quantity, then please let us know in advance so that we can readjust the production schedule accordingly. Telematics, this may not be of your interest, but if you remember, I ran the survey not too long ago. If you're interested in the KIGIS linker, which is a communication device, this is basically an LTE modem with the iPass connectivity. And the feedback that I received was you do not see a lot of big market demand. So based on that feedback, we decided to develop this KIGIS linker initially for domestic market, meaning Korean market only. We are continuing to develop this. We're gonna sell this in Korean market, but we'll keep you posted how it looks like, what the price will look like, and et cetera, what the function is. But if you're interested in this for your market, again, let me know, send your feedback. We'll consider to make it a global version if there's a market demand. Um, and KIGIS platform is the server-side software to make the KIGIS linker work. So the idea is, again, as I explained, to install this LTE modem right next to vehicle tag or zone tag so that you don't, when customer says, hey, I have this problem, you don't have to go there, but you can remotely, get the diagnostics information, remotely change the configuration, or even update the software. So we thought it was very interesting idea. And but again, initially this will only be available in Korean market. In terms of the vision technology, we are improving the IB Plus, specifically based on the feedback from Brazil. The obstacle detection, meaning if someone intentionally interfere with the viewing camera of the IB Plus, the new software will detect that, hey, this is not proper operation of the camera. So we'll start giving you the warning. If the camera is disconnected from the main monitor unit, it will also detect that and give you the warning. So there's some improvement of the operation of the IB Plus unit will be available soon, end of September. This is software update. We're not making any hardware update for IB Plus at this point in time. Instead, we are doing a proof of concept design of a standalone AI camera. This is not to replace IB Plus. IB Plus will continue as 2-channel or 4-channel camera configuration with touchscreen monitor. We want to see if there's additional market that we can go after with this standalone AI camera, which is a perfect segue to my next slide. So we have 2 use cases. The first one is from the feedback from my bro in Brazil. When I met him in ProMed in Chicago, he explained how they use the IB Plus in a stationary surveillance AI camera use case, meaning they install this IB Plus camera on the wall to detect the pedestrians without the tag. And then if the pedestrian approaches to this intersection, the IB Plus will detect that, and then it'll activate the PT, and then that way the forklift will get the warning and they will slow down, even though the pedestrians are not carrying or not wearing the PT. I thought it was a very interesting idea, and instead of using IB Plus, we want to develop a dedicated stationary AI camera for like surveillance, pedestrian detection type of use cases. So that's one use case. The other thing is, and this is from Jochen, that you gave me a feedback that if there's a very low cost camera, single channel, just looking mostly upward to see the traffic sign within the work site, whether it's a QR code or a specifically designed sign that says, "Hey, this is a low clearance region. Hey, this is a low speed area. Oh, this is a high speed area." This camera is not to detect the pedestrian, but to detect the sign, and then accordingly control the behavior of the forklift, whether it's speed control or the fork control and things like that. And obviously, it can be also installed if your customer says, "Hey, I'm not interested in side detection. I'm not even interested in. I just want to detect vehicles and obstacles in forward facing." Then and they don't say. They may say, "Hey, I don't even need this fancy monitor. I just need the warning or even EOD, just small indicator." Um, this will be that low cost single channel AI camera for those type of customers. So this is so we're evaluating different technologies, different chipsets, different hardware design, and we will be sharing more as we come up with the initial design. But again, if you have any feedback on this standalone AI camera, please let us know. If you think you need certain features, if you think you need certain output, certain input, let us know. This is a perfect time for you to influence the initial design of this product. Crossway zone tag, I am sure you understand there's been a recent survey if there's any market for this big crossway zone tag. The initial response was not many. I mean, Adrian is selling really well this crossway zone tag in Mexico. Abroad has some market in Brazil, but that's about 100 units a year market. So we are still internally discussing whether or how we should continue to develop and produce the crossway zone tag. One idea is we can try to improve the current crossway zone tag with the angle of arrival feature, meaning the previous one only detects approaching vehicles, whether it doesn't really care about the direction. But this one, if you can see, okay, this vehicle is approaching from this direction, that vehicle is approaching that direction, I think we can make more intelligent crossway zone tag for more sophisticated safety applications. So that's an idea. We I think we're still discussing what kind of technology we want to use on this device, whether we should do this or not. So it's still very early stage. So please let us know if you have any idea about this. Safety zone tag, similar idea. Our current zone tag, very simple functionality. If there's an approaching vehicle, it detects that, and then it shows the indication or warning to the nearby pedestrians. We want to make it a little bit more complicated and make it more useful by adding angle of arrival detection, by adding, different zone tag IDs, behaving different. So let's say, particular vehicle approaching a particular zone, similar to the single channel AI camera use case. So this zone tag will say, hey, this area, the maximum speed is 15 miles an hour. Hey, that area, you can't go any faster than 10 miles an hour. We can set that detection or different zones in different zone tag ID, and then we can update the vehicle tag software to react differently based on the zone tag. So we see there are more and more demand. We've been focusing mostly on the vehicle tag and pedestrian tag, and that's still like, I don't know, 80%, 90% of our business is their area. But I think we're missing this big market opportunity in the safety zone application. So that's why we're looking at the stationary AI camera. We're looking at the improved crossway zone tag, and we also want to improve the standard or flashlight zone tag with this additional features. We even we're even brainstorming the idea of adding AI camera to the zone tag to add additional use cases. So the reasons that I'm sharing this early in the phase is for you to have a chance to think about it. If you have an idea or feedback or concerns or comments, let us know. We'll take that. We'll try to take that into consideration. KIGIS Linker, as I said, it's for the remote diagnostics configuration and firmware update. Initial feedback from the global partners is they may not see big market for this. So we will only sell this in Korean market. But once we have something, we'll continue to share this. And if you think, oh, this is interesting, we may want to sell this in our market, we'll be happy to discuss that. Okay, I think that's all I have for today at this meeting. I hope I didn't go too fast. Just wanted to give you as much context as possible. Any comments, thoughts, or concerns?
Hi, there are too many questions on the chat.
So just try to bring up the most pressuring one first, and then if you're more, then we can have a separate meeting. So bring that up, Daniele or Francesco, if you have any comment to make.
No, it's not our comment. There are too many comments from all dealer network, and as I saw, so why are you selling IPAS 2.0 now? After this presentation, the first question is, why are you selling IPAS 2.0? Stop.
Why are we selling IPAS 2.0? Because
Yes,
we
exactly.
wanted to implement the the detection shaping mode, which is E mode. That's the reason we started developing IPAS SE.
Ty, I
So
think
IPAS,
what he's trying to say is that we all see the need for the iPass SE. Definitely, it is where the market is going, but the biggest question is that iPass SE is not ready development-wise. Um, you're talking about it having issues with the detection, with the reaction time. Um, the when I look at the differences between the bandwidths, when I do my research there, the higher bandwidth you go, the more susceptible it is to interference. Now, the whole reason why companies want systems like iPass is because they have busy warehouses. There is obstructions, there's racking, there's boxes, there's blind corners, and they don't want someone to get hit. Now, if we are saying that iPass SE still needs more development, whether it be on the firmware or on the hardware. On both sides, we're saying there's a bit of development still needed and coming through. Then why are we pushing it now when it actually could give a false sense of security in the market?
that's an interesting feedback. I think there's some difference in terms of the perception of the readiness. When we developed the IPAS SE, it was performing okay in terms of the single mode, which is IPAS 1.0 in open area with the line of sight. So depending on the environment, you may see, okay, in my equipment or in our customer's equipment, in our customer's work site, it doesn't work. I get that, and that's, we can blame the frequency, we can blame a number of other things. But from our vantage point, when we develop IPAS, we've been developing this for almost 2.5 years. It passed all our quality testing in terms of the detection performance, detection latency, the functions and features that we originally intended to design. So from our vantage point, it's ready to sell. And that's why we said, okay, IPAS SE, go ahead and start selling. Now, depending on how you install this, depending on where you use it, we start getting feedback that, hey, this is not as good as IPAS 1.0. Well, that's something we have to improve. That should not mean it's not ready. I mean, when you say, hey, it's not ready until everybody's satisfied, I don't know when everybody will be satisfied, time will come.
Uh, can I add something? Do you guys hear me? I was actually here. Hi, this is Keith. Hello,
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
Yeah. Um. Okay, it's good to see you all. EMEA regions, distributors, partners. Well, okay. Back in even IPAS one. Um. Well, it wasn't like 100% complete in the beginning. I mean, if you remember those armbands, the driver mode, which has been added like about 2 or 3 years after um, uh, after we developed iPass one. So we just added one and another one, another development over and over, and we came up with the complete one. So I know that there are early players, partners from like 2017, 18. If you guys remember correctly, we kept on developing, added on features. So similar to iPass SE, which is iPass second version, we still have some more developments, ongoing developments, but we will have them completed very soon. And we already have driver zone tag, which will be developed, completed this month. I know there are uh, partners out there who has been waiting for this development for a long time. So it's a good news for you guys, and we will keep on going.
So I did not notice there were so many comments. I was busy talking, and then I start seeing these comments coming in. We'll try to go through that as quickly as possible, and then if I can't answer all of them, we'll post the response on the Partner Hub. So share the link. Yes, this is recording, and it's going to be a big file, so I don't know how best we can share this, but we'll try to share that. Please let me know if you need the recording of this. New connector design photograph. It looks very similar to IPAS 1. It just have three, I believe, three separate lines. Key, if you have a picture of the pigtail design of IPAS SE Indicator Plus, please go ahead and share that in the Partner Hub. Hakan, do you have a comment? I see you raised your hand.
Yeah. Hi, Tai, hi, Key, and hi, other friends. First of all, IPAS SE looks awesome. It's a beautiful product as looking, but when we get it last December, we had lots of issues, and we sent you some videos and some reports about it. I think in June you sent us a new firmware, and we shared with some of our friends. It's better, but it has still problems. So I think IPAS SE can be a step forward, but with this detection issues, it became a step back. So it's really difficult us to sell this kind of product. You know, our environment is always a crazy confined place. So line of sight is not possible in our environments. So without good line of sight performance, we cannot use it. It's a problem because it's a safety product. It's not a luxury product. It's a safety product. So it must work better than the previous one, I think. So for my opinion, we'll wait. We have to wait to see improvements. New firmware, maybe new connectors. Lots of friends talked about it. I think they reported to you about connector issues, and you said you are solving that. What I'm asking is sharing more knowledge from your side. We always have to dig something to get information until this presentation. We lucky to have it, and we lucky to see what will going on, what will be happening. So I think all together with partners and KIGIS, we can make this product better. We like to test it. We like to try it in other partners, but I'm not sure if we can or I can sell it in my market. So that's all for now.
Understood. You can continue to sell IPAS 1. If you think IPAS SE is not the right product for your market, I totally understand that. As Key just explained, and I explained, we are continuing to improve the IPAS SE. Doesn't mean the product is not ready. We believe it has passed all the internal tests, and we believe it works in most environment. If you disagree, if you think it doesn't work for your customer, I understand that. I mean, you know the customer better than us. So please continue to sell IPAS 1 until we come up with a new design, and we'll keep you posted. In terms of the communication with the distributors, I've been trying to improve that by coming up with this Partner Hub, trying to be more proactive in sharing this information. We'll try to have this regular meetings to share more information. But again, you know, our lines is open, whether it's WhatsApp or email or KIGIS Partner Hub. Feel free to post anything. Yeah, John, I see you raise your hand.
Obviously, you are raising great concerns with us with the success and the performance of IPAS 1 within our customer base here in the UK. Obviously, we're now implementing IPAS 2 or IPAS SE because of the dynamic shaping was required for our customers. Obviously, now within a brewery application, I'm not confident we're going to be able to deliver on the customer's requirements. And obviously, without a line of sight detection, and we've got a extremely large project starting in Q4 this year, which the systems are due to arrive the end of this month. But obviously, without the correct firmware, this is going to fundamentally fail for us and obviously affect our relationship and our reputation here in the UK. And we was assured that the performance of the firmware would meet the requirements of IPAS 1. But by listening to your communication today, there's no indication when this is going to be available. So how can you reassure us that the product, with the added features, meet our customer base, but obviously the performance of the system will not?
So I think there's two parts in your question, John. Thanks for asking, though. So first one, in terms of the performance IPAS SE, again, obviously we've been doing this for many years. We test our product in a different environment, in the lab and in the field, very different type of circumstances. Initially, before the June firmware release, we had some issues that was not detected during the QA, which was fixed. So I think our current firmware, which is as of June, July timeframe, is working as intended, as designed. However, in some environment, depending on the type of equipment or the design of the warehouses or the workflow of the customer, it may not work as intended or as satisfactory as you hoped. And in that case, all I can say at this moment is please get us involved. We want to be part of that testing. Sometimes, there's a good example in recent technical support requests about the static E mode, where customer thought it was a fault because it's just keep beeping, or it has to do with the hysteresis. So I think IPAS SE is still a brand new product. There are some features and settings and configurations that may not be fully optimized, that gives the wrong impression between you guys that, hey, IPAS SE is not ready. This has been developed for the past 2.5 years. We've been testing this, we've been improving this. So we believe it works. If it doesn't, we want to understand why. And so please get us involved in those important strategic customers. Invite us. We will be happy to send our engineers, work side by side with your team to help you optimize the settings and configuration. If there's any issue, and if it's something we can change by firmware update, we'll bring it right back and then, keep that as a top priority and fix it. The antenna design, new mechanical housing, new hardware changes will take time. I'm sure you understand. So that's why we're looking at end of the year, early next year for this revision, which is the long range version. But the current version with the firmware update, we'll be happy to make the change as needed, and we'll be happy to do that together with our partners.
Could you just regarding the environments you tested the system in, what environments did you cover? What applications?
Well, hey, John, you remember we were in this city or a town called Rugby this February in UK.
It's cleaner logistics.
Yes, and that's where we were at. Myself and Eddie were there, and initially there was not enough installation case for IPAS SE at that time. But then the units you have and all the firmwares, they're the latest one. And what I understood from UK side is that you guys need DZT, which is driver zone tag, right? But do you have any issues with the firmware? That's my question, because I thought.
Well, yeah, we did because the performance of the system didn't meet the detection criteria the customer required with the dynamic shaping. That's why the customer hasn't proceeded with the project.
I have a videotape. I videotaped it during the trial in Rugby, where Michael was there as well. We successfully made the shaping where you don't want to detect on the sideways. You weren't there, but Michael was there, anyways. So
yeah, Michael's on the call now with me.
We made it work. And what the concern from UK side was about additional features or like units, not the detection itself. And now you're raising concern about the detection. What's happening over there?
What do you mean, Key? You're confusing me now. What's happening over there? You know, from that particular customer, they proceeded not to do. But obviously, we've placed an order with you now for a brewery application, which I've got great concerns with that of the performance of the detection now, because it's in, you know, a beer kegging area, which we're not going to get the performance that we would get with IPAS 1. And the main reason the customer's gone with this system to replace the Lindy safety guard system is based on the dynamic shaping.
Yeah, I know
Understood,
what
John.
it is.
I think
Linde, similar system, having three vehicle antennas, giving you direction. It's an old system. Yeah, Frederick, you're pretty much familiar with it, right? Anyways, yeah, we know what it is.
I'll have to ask you to take that offline. John, I understand the concern. Let's take this offline, and we can have more conversation. Want to understand exactly what type of performance issue. Again, it might be a simple matter of misconfiguration or misunderstanding of the operation, or it might be a genuine product problem. In which case we do want to understand deeper, and we're more than happy to send our people if needed, and you know, get to the bottom of it.
Okay, thank you.
Marion, do you have a question?
Yes, I just have one question, because you are talking about hardware improvements. So when you will release the very last new brand version, will all the devices that you already supplied to everybody will be compatible?
Compatible in the sense of
IPAS
it should.
Okay, because we already received IPAS 2.0 or SE devices last year and so on, and I don't know if the future version will be, you know, able to work all together, or if we have to make very specific like stocks.
So this, from frequency range standpoint, obviously we'll stay with 6.5 gigahertz, even with the long range new antenna, mostly hardware. But from firmware and protocol standpoint, I assume it should be the same as the current IPAS SE. So it's going to be 100% compatible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Richard.
Thanks, Ka. With 1.0, we did have laboratory testing available to us, which gave us the accuracy and the everything like that. Are you able to release those to us through the partner hub also, so we can see the I think everyone here, a lot of us had problems with SE when it was first released, and I think we need to now see, even if possible, if you can show us the testings between the different firmwares, so we can see how the improvements have come through. So it will also give us, as deep as the sellers of the unit, more confidence, because we are your sales force. If you would be able to do that for us. Another thing with the SE, could you release send each of us programmers for it, because our current programmers that we all have a different connector to to what 1.0 takes. It's the same programmer, but just with a different connector. So would you be able to either send us new programmers, or else a connector adapter for that?
Sure. So I think you're talking about the toolkit, which is showing here to be available in mid-October. If you can wait until then, we will be able to send you the new toolkit. If you need it more urgently, if you need it right now, if it's just like one unit, I think we can make that modification to the connector and then send you the previous version, but with a new connector, so that you can use that.
Like I can't test the new firmware because I can't. How do I load it?
That's a good point.
I mean, right now I've only got the firmware on there that you supply the unit with. I can't load more firmware. So right now I've not been able to see any improvements to the system. So yes, I do think it's very urgent that you send it through, because we can't do anything with the SE units that we have. And my last question is 1.0. Can you do a full CAN release to us of everything on the CAN bus? So we can, I mean, we need right now, we need improvements right now. There is CAN available in 1.0, which those of us that are using management systems would be able to access. But it's firmware. And we'd like to know if, as a interim improvement right now, you could do a full release the firmware to each of us, which gives us access to all the CAN and all the activations through that CAN.
So just to make sure I understand, you asked Richard, you want to understand or connect this this cable to the IPAS unit and access to the CAN protocol, and then you want to do something with the forklift or any other devices. Is that the intention?
Correct,
you
yes.
Want to take advantage of the CAN protocol?
Yes.
We have been discussing a more tighter integration between the IPAS and the external units over the CAN bus. We started doing that with strategic partners first. And the reason that we're starting small is because we want to understand, hey, do you need additional CAN packets or any additional information? Or should we modify the existing one and to provide you more details to make it more useful? We're doing mostly on IPAS SE side of the CAN protocol definition, but you said specifically 1.0 CAN protocol information, correct?
Correct, yes.
Gotcha. I don't expect we're going to make a lot of change on 1.0 CAN protocol, so that should be fine. Keith, please go ahead and take an action. Richard, if you can just send an email so that we don't forget.
Yeah, no problem.
And we'll follow up.
The latest information from South Africa, I thought you guys were you guys made it. You guys successfully made it with reverse engineering. Was it?
No. I can see I haven't got the specific codes, but I can see the signals.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you could just give us the specific codes, then it would make life a lot easier and see what else is available. I mean, I know there's just a basic CAN that we have, but not full CAN. There is more available, and just on the software that's already written, not asking for new software to be written. I'm just asking for the best CAN software where it gives those signals to be available. But yeah, going back on the previous question on the programmer for SE, that is very important. And at the same time, while we're testing, if you could give us the CAN access for SE also, so we'll be able to do the same work on that side, if you wouldn't mind.
So Richard, you need one for IPAS 1 and another one for IPAS SE. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. SE. You've always said it will be available through SE. Is that correct?
The protocols. We already have it on our own, but the thing is, I thought you guys already made it work for IPAS 1.
Basic.
You have your own fleet management system, don't you?
Yes. So we've got the basic codes, but is the software that we've got releasing, making everything available? I'm not sure.
Can you elaborate more on that basic codes? What are they?
So there's power. There's that the tag is working correctly, and there's a detection.
Yep. we basically just provide, you know, if it's caution detection or danger detection and some more, but it's not like we're not providing like complete information as you know those fleet management system specialized providers. But then we have limited information, but still, yes, we do have well enough, let's say, details. You can
Yeah. So
provide.
we'll be happy to share what type of information we use on the canvas of IPAS 1.0, and then you can, I think, Richard, you can take it from there. As Kay
Perfect.
said, we do not publish everything, every internal data on Canvas. We just share the basic critical information. All right,
All right.
I think we're way over time, and I see a lot of comments. I'll go ahead and continue to follow up. We'll send you the email based official response to all of this question. I do have one clarification though, that I think is from you, Jochen. I think there's a misunderstanding. When I said line of sight, that doesn't mean the VT has to be able to see PT. When I say line of sight, the VT has to be installed in a location in the equipment that provide a good communication path instead of obstacles or behind the fork or anything like that. I mean, as long as there's a healthy, strong UWB communication line, I mean, PT will still be detected if it's behind the object or behind the rack, depending on your dynamic shaping configuration. One final comment, just be careful. We'll try to share more information about the E-mode, whether it's a static or dynamic shaping of the detection range. I think there's some misunderstanding on the detection latency, and you know, sometimes people say, "Hey, this is still beeping while it's already outside of the detection range." Some features are intended to operate that way. So when you say it doesn't work or there's a delay, please share detailed information, and we'll be happy to clarify why it's working that way. If it doesn't meet your customer's use case, we'll be happy to change that behavior. But some of them is not a bug or fault or issue. It's just design features that you may not be fully aware. We should have done a better job of explaining all those details in the manual, but we may have not explained everything in that level of details. So if you see, hey, IPAS SE is not working, please help us understand what do you mean by not working, and we'll be happy to clarify that. It has been tested, it's been working on our environment, and if it doesn't in your customer's environment, we want to understand why.
Please provide lots of information like video clips and the settings, how you set up the indicator and everything. And you know what? His terraces, which we provide like which we give buffer like a 1 meter. That also it was already on IPAS 1 already. I'm sure all of you know what it is. I mean, once you get into the zone, yes, you get detected, but when you get out of the range, we give about 1 meter. Still you'll be detected. And that's what happened this morning with one of our distributors in Americas. They complained why we're being detected. We're even though we're outside the range. That's our philosophy. That's how we designed. We provide a buffer of 1 meter for S mode, 1.5 for E mode, and now they understand, and this is how they're going to explain to their customers.
So some of
And
those features are
it's not
designed.
something new. It's not something new. It's not something
So,
new. It was already there for IPAS 1.
so just be aware that some of those behaviors may be new in IPAS SE, or maybe it's been there in IPAS 1.0 that you may not fully aware. Some of that is intended and intentionally designed that way as a feature to improve the safety and optimize the operation of the device. If you don't like it, if you don't need any buffer, if you don't need any safety, 1 meter extra range, I think we'll be happy to provide that option to remove that buffer if that's how your customer sees as a problem.
Yeah, there's always sensitive customers out there who actually bring up their rulers and they go like, oh, it's 10 centimeters more or less. But then please let us know. We will do our best to support.
Okay, I intended to have this meeting only an hour, but it went a little bit longer, which is okay. I don't think I will go through the entire list of questions on the chat window. I will go through that. We will post the official answer on the Partner Hub. So stay tuned. I'll let you know. Please let me know if there's any last minute pressuring, very important questions or concerns. Otherwise, we will stop recording. And